So it finally happened. I got my first Tudor watch. Welcome back to the channel, guys and girls. You're watching me, M Kwan, here on M Kwan Reviews. This is the channel where I talk about my passions, including technology and watches. And a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to the launch of the Tudor boutique. This is the Middle East's largest Tudor boutique here in Abu Dhabi. And I left with one of the highlights of Watches and Wonder in 2022, the Tudor BlackBay Pro. I've been wearing it for about 2.5 weeks. Is it living up to the hype? Let me talk to you about it. Right, first of all, let's start by talking about the unboxing experience. Very similar to how it's been unboxing one of my Rolex models. What I will say is that the box that the Tudor BlackBay Pro came in feels a little more premium, and it is this particular model on the NATO strap. Now, there are a few other variants and options you can go with. What I would recommend, if you don't have very many bracelet watches, do consider the riveted bracelet, because that is actually really good value for money. Not only are you getting a well-built stainless steel bracelet, but you're also getting micro adjustment there. And I think overall, it does look and feel better with the dimensions of this Tudor BlackBay Pro. Now, I have quite a few stainless steel watches already on bracelets, so I wanted something a little different. The NATO strap on this has this very nice yellow line down the middle, and it complements the GMT hand, but it does show off the thickness and the heft of the watch head itself, particularly when it's on the wrist. Now, what I have opted with is a rubber and bracelet combo from a third party. I'll talk to you a bit more about that later on in the video, but that does help to alleviate some of the thickness and also heaviness on the wrist. The inspiration, the styling, the design of the Tudor BlackBay Pro, many in the watch community have referred to it as being heavily inspired from a particular model from the sister company Rolex. So one of the things that it has in common with that is obviously that stainless steel 24 gradient bezel, and that is a non-moving bezel. It's a fixed bezel, and you do also have that GMT hand that you can adjust. It's independent of the hour hand, so you can either stick to a different time zone, or as I have done, sync that up with the GMT. It also has a date complication as well. Essentially, inside the 39mm case, you have the MT5652 movement. Now, this is the same movement that we find in the Tudor BlackBay GMT version. So it is the same, but it is slightly thicker again in this 39mm format. That MT5652 movement also sports 70 hours of power reserve, and check this, 200 meters of water resistance. And the dial itself is actually a really nice dial. It's got this kind of textured black feel to it. You've got the Tudor logo, and then you have the ceramic hour markers around the chapter ring, and you have luminous material within that. And in low light, it actually shines quite brightly. It does give off this kind of greenish blue hint to it as well. And the snowflake hand, I think on this model, it looks really, really good. Another big thing that I'm a fan of, having used this, is that GMT hand. I love how prominent it is, not only with the color, but also the fact that it goes all the way to the edge of the chapter ring. So it's quite easy to determine the hour of the GMT hand. On the crystal itself, it's a sapphire crystal, but if you look very carefully, it's actually domed sapphire crystal. And there's something certainly done to the treatment of that crystal, because it gives off this kind of yellowish hue. It's not like faux patina, but it certainly adds a kind of element of vintageness. And I think that's one of the things that really shines about this particular watch, that from afar, but also up close, this has the hallmarks of a vintage inspired watch. I think the watch looks stellar on my 6.5-inch wrist. And what I did wear it on the NATO for a while, but I did get a third-party strap. This is a Hirsch strap, and I'll link it down in the description below. This is part of their Andy series, and it's this really, really nice combination of a yellow rubber strap at the bottom with calf leather on top. Now, I think this combo looks really, really dope, because not only is it easy to take the straps out with the quick release mechanism, but the yellow really does pop, and that yellow and black combination makes not only the dial stand out but also the GMT hand. It's a sophisticated look between kind of casual and smart together, and I've got a lot of compliments actually on this strap, so a big shout out to the guys at Hirsch for putting this together. Remember at the beginning I talked about hype. Well, after wearing this for 2.5 weeks, I think, you know, genuinely it does live up in some ways to the hype. I think this got a lot of attention because Tudor as a brand offers incredible value, and when you look at the value proposition of this watch, if you're looking for a stainless steel watch which is vintage inspired with that GMT complication, very well built, very well put together with the modern movement, and at this price point, it certainly is something that would live up to all those elements and thus, you know, warrant the hype that it deserves. Now, what I will say is at the beginning when this was announced, some of these models were selling above retail, and I think that was because it was difficult to get hold of some of these watches, but the whole watch market has dipped slightly, so you shouldn't be paying above retail. Be a little patient, but you should be able to get your hands on one of these after, you know, a month or two's wait, and I think it's certainly well worth that price. Let me know your thoughts on the Tudor BlackBay Pro. Do you think it lives up to the hype in your estimation? Leave your comments down below. And before I finish, I want to say a big thanks to the guys at Mohammed Rasul Khoury for hooking me up with this. Thank you very much for that. And if you want to see more content related to watches, hit subscribe and check out this other watch related video over here. I'll see you there next. I'm Kwan over and out. Peace and blessings.